All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to open up by giving all the praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rechakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who were well and preach the truth and sincerity. Shalom to the hopefully elect. And this is the brother Amawan Ayash from the GMS Indianapolis camp coming back at you with another quick lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. And in today's lesson, I have an article from the End Time Headlines app. And as you can see, the headline reads, Trump is finding it more difficult to persuade people that good times are coming. And, this sparked a couple of precepts. And one thing we know, all right, when we look at the current state of the world, the average American is not in a not so good state, be it mentally, spiritually, whatever the case may be. Because, ultimately, they see their beloved country, right, going to shit right before their eyes, man. And one thing we know, according to scriptures, man, hey, the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, he does a purpose to bring good times right to the land of America in these last days. Okay? So let me go ahead and open up with a couple of scriptures, and we'll get into the article. First, one of the first precepts I thought about was Ezekiel, the 7th chapter, and verse 5, starting at verse 5. It says, Thus saith the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, behold, an evil, only an evil, behold, is come, which we know and understand that what evil goes into bad times, and we understand that what nothing but bad times is coming for the land of Babylon the Great, aka America. Okay? It says, an end is come, the end is come, and watch for thee, which ultimately the end is going to what the end of Esau's world, right? It says, that's it, man. Like I said, what the end is talking about the end of Esau's world, which the end of Esau's world is coming in the form of these very different plagues and judgments and evils that the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai intends to bring in these last days, right? Let's go from there to the book of 2 Timothy, chapter 3 and verse 1. It says, This know also that in the last days perilous times shall come, right? Which ultimately, when we go into that word perilous, which we do from time to time, it's the Greek word kalepos, meaning hard to do, to take, to approach, hard to bear, troublesome, dangerous, harsh, fierce, savage. And once again, that's due to all the evils, be it the plagues, the famines, the pestilences, right, the very different judgments that the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai purposes to bring, all right, upon the planet Earth in these last days. All right, primarily Babylon the Great, aka America. Okay, which we understand that the main reason why the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai is bringing all these evils right upon America in these last days, because ultimately this place has to pay for all the evils and atrocities that it's committed towards the Lord's chosen people. You see? So nothing but perilous times are coming in these last days. Okay? And I also thought about this because once again, right, you seen by the headline, it said that Trump is having a hard time convincing people that good times are coming. You see, once again, hey, when you look at the state of America and its people, hey, man, these people, man, they don't see any hope in America, man. You see? So, let me get this in the book of Baruch, chapter 4, okay? And we'll get start at verse 31. It says, Miserable are they that afflicted thee, and rejoice at thy fall. Miserable are the cities which thy children serve. Miserable is she that received thy sons. And amen, the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai is taking this place through ultimate hell, man. Be it the economy falling, America as we know it is really in a recession, man. Seeing as how, people are struggling to find jobs and maintain their livelihoods, pay rent, this, that, and the third, man. And hey, man, this is the Lord allowing this, and ultimately the Lord doing this because what? Ultimately, all right, this place is has been soaked, right, with the blood, sweat, and tears of the Lord's chosen people, man. You so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. So ultimately, America is undergoing a heavy judgment as we speak because ultimately they have put their hands on the Lord's chosen people, and this is the Lord bringing that recompense, man. You see, which ultimately, hey, through this, right, the Lord is breaking this place down piece by piece, in which we know that the ultimate knockout blow that the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai is going to deliver is that destruction, man. You see the nuclear destruction in World War III. You see in which America, Babylon the Great, right, is going to be completely destroyed, man. You see? So reading on, it says, verse 33, for as she rejoiced at thy ruin and was glad of thy fall, so shall she be grieved for her own desolation. You see, in ultimate, these American people, man, are completely grieving right now. All right, seeing that the state of their beloved country is not getting any better, man. It's only constantly deteriorating and getting worse, man. You see, rightfully so. You see, as y'all mocked at us in our affliction, right, we became a proverb and a byword in the sight of the heathens, man. All right, we became niggers, spicks, coons, wetbacks, this, that, and the third, man. You know, our plight didn't matter to these nations, right? As the scriptures say in Jeremiah 15 and 5, and says, for who shall have pity upon thee, O Jerusalem, or who shall bemoan thee, or who shall go aside to ask how thou doest? You see, and ultimately these nations, man, they see the downtrodden, oppressed state that we're in as a people, and none of them are lifting a finger to help us, man. Rather, the scriptures say in Zechariah 1, where it says, what? I am sore displeased at the heathen and what that they have helped for the affliction. You see? So these heathens, man, rather than lifting a finger to help, all right, they took advantage of our situation and put more oppression upon us, man. You see? Which is why the scriptures say in the book of Obadiah, chapter 1 and verse 15. It says, for the day of the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, is near upon all the heathen. You see, all the heathen, and primarily beginning with Esau, Edom, and so-called white man. He is number one on the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai's hit list. And that's why America is receiving a lot of heavy judgments. See, because ultimately this is going to be the main stage of judgment in these last days, man. It says, it shall be done unto thee, thy reward shall return upon thine own head. You see, so ultimately, all the persecution and hell that these nations have put upon us, man. And guess what, man? The Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai is getting ready to return that right upon their own heads, man. You see? And we see that Exhibit A with the Lord breaking down America, man, on all sides. You know, be it economically, right? The spirit of these American people are failing, man. You see, and also, man, America, as we know, is just completely through, man. You see? As the scriptures say, what? Babylon cannot be healed. You see? So this place is done with, man. You see, ain't no healing, ain't no restoration, nothing of the sort, right, coming to Babylon the Great, aka America, man. You see, it's over with. You see? And the Lord, he's not turning away his wrath from this place. You see? So let's go back to Baruch chapter 4 and verse 34. It says, for I will take away the rejoicing of her great multitude, and her pride shall be turned into mourning. And we see that taking place right now. You see, as America is failing on all sides, man. Hey, these American people are suffering, man. They're mourning. You see, they don't see a future for this place, man. Because guess what, man? There ain't no future for this place, man. You see, it says, as a matter of fact, we'll jump back here, but let's go get this real quick in the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 8, and verse 50. It says, for many great miseries shall be done to them that in the latter time shall dwell in the world, because they have walked in great pride. You see, and ultimately, out of all nations, man, all right, here, all right, out of all countries and lands, man, the most pride has been displayed here in the land of Babylon the Great, aka America. You see, because we understand that this place is ruled by the most proud, right? And as the scripture tells us, as the judges, so are his officers. You see, and as the king is, so are the men of the people, roughly paraphrasing. You see? So with that being said, knowing that the most proud, all right, the most wicked in all the earth is in rulership, all right, his influence is going to spread, all right, throughout the four corners of the planet Earth, man. Right? As the book of Psalms says, I have seen the wicked in great power, spreading himself like a green bay tree. You see? So this devil's wicked influence has made its way right across the four corners of the planet Earth, man. And that's another reason why our America is suffering like this, man. Because of Esau's wickedness, man. Our house polluted the whole earth, man. You see, and wickedness has become the standard in the planet Earth, man, under this devil's rule. So ultimately, due to the lack of fear and reverence for the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, all right, this place is going down. You see? And once again, there's no stopping the judgment that the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai purposes to bring upon this place, man. You see? Isaiah 14 says what? The Lord hath purpose, and who shall disannul it? You see? And the answer is who? Nobody. You see? So, hey, man, whatever the Lord Yahweh Bashim Shai has purposed to come to pass, man, that's what it's going to be. You see? And it ain't man or woman. It's nobody that can turn away, right, the judgment of the Lord Yahweh Bashim Shai. All right? That's just that. You see? So, let's go back to the book of Baruch, the 4th chapter. And verse 35, for fire shall come upon her from the everlasting, long to endure, and she shall be inhabited of devils for a great time. Which we understand that what? That fire is coming in the form of nuclear destruction, which the Lord Yahweh Bashim Shai is going to execute in World War III via the ICBM nuclear missiles, as well as the concentrated fire laser beams coming from the chariots. You see, so America is going to be undergoing all these various different judgments, leading all the way up to the ultimate judgment that the Lord Yahweh Bashim Shai purposes to bring, which is what? The nuclear destruction. You see? So the Lord is completely wearing this place out as we speak, man. You see? And ain't no getting up, man. You know, America might as well just throw in a towel, but knowing the pride of Esau ain't going to throw in a towel, man. He going to keep fighting, you know, and to keep his kingdom afloat. And the scriptures say that even when the Lord comes back, when the Lord Yahweh Shai comes back with the holy angels, man, hey, even though Esau was afraid, he's still going to fight. You see, because this devil, man, no matter who it is, man, he's going to fight tooth and nail to keep his kingdom afloat. You see, but hey, nothing but bad times, miseries, lamentations, mournings, and woes is coming for the land of Babylon the Great, aka America. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into this article. It says, President Donald Trump has said drug prices are falling by as much as 1,500%, a mathematical impossibility. He has declared himself the affordability president while dismissing affordability issue as a con job by the Democrats. It says Trump also vows that good times are coming. He has predicted that gas prices, which are now over around $3 a gallon, will plummet to $2 a gallon. We just read that only an evil is coming, right in the book of Ezekiel, the 7th chapter. You see, so hey, we know these devils, man, try to keep up this lie and try to keep hope alive in America. But hey, man, the people aren't biting, you know? The people ain't going for it, man. All right, the people are waking up to the current state of America. All right, they see that nothing's getting better for this place. So ultimately, it's going to be harder and harder for the American people to believe that things are going to get better for this place. Because at the end of the day, we know according to prophecy that what? It ain't going to get better for this place. You see? It say he has promised Americans 2,000 refund checks from the revenue raised by tariffs. He has suggested that in the not too distant future, no one will have to pay income tax. And you see, ultimately, now, all right, this dude is sowing vain hope into people, man. All right, let's get this in the book of 2nd Esdras. Excuse me. Chapter 5 and you know what? We can start up at we can start at verse 9. It says, and salt water shall be found in a sweet, which meaning what? It's going to be hard to find fresh water in these last days. That's one of the many judgments that the Lord is going to bring, right? Because hey, we understand that what? Hey, we're going to have lack of food, right? Lack of water, so on and so forth. And in that, man, it's going to be a difficulty finding fresh water. It says, and all friends shall destroy one another. You see, this doesn't sound like good times coming to America. You see, this sounds like what? War in the streets, man. All right, civil war. Right. As a matter of fact, when we read the book of Isaiah, the 19th chapter, which this is when it talks about Egypt here in Isaiah 19, we know and understand that it speaks of spiritual Egypt, according to Revelation, the 11th chapter, which is none other than Babylon the Great, aka America. It says, the burden, Isaiah chapter 19, starting at verse 1, it says, the burden of Egypt, behold, the Lord Yahweh Bashim Shai rideth upon a swift cloud, and shall come into Egypt, which we know that our Lord Yahweh Shai, he's going to return, right, via the chariots, man. All right, which the world ignorantly calls UFOs. Right, as the scriptures tell us what, behold, he cometh with clouds. All right, which those of us in the know, we understand those clouds to be the chariots of Israel. It says, and the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it. And I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians. So, hey, man, these American people in these last days, man, they're going to be fighting against one another, man. You know, killing each other with the force of the sword, man. You know, especially like the scriptures talk about, due to the lack of bread. Let's get that as a matter of fact. I don't want to butcher it. Second Esdras. We'll jump straight to the point in this one. Chapter 15 and verse 19. It says, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. So, hey, this is why people are going to be killing one another, man. One of the main reasons, you see, just to sustain their souls with hunger. You see? So it says, verse 2, Isaiah 19:2, and I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight everyone against his brother, and everyone against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. You see, so ultimately there's going to be a lot of infighting and ultimately violence and disorder and lawlessness are taking place in the land of Babylon the Great, aka America, in these last days, man. You see? And as Yahweh Shai said, he comes to bring he didn't come to bring peace, but rather division. You see? And we see that America, right, is more divided than it's ever been, man. All right, as we speak. You see? So let's go back to the book of 2nd Esdras, the 5th chapter. And back in verse 9, it says, and salt water shall be found in a sweet, and all friends shall destroy one another. Then shall wit hide itself, and understanding withdraw itself into his secret chamber, which we understand that's ultimately that's going to take place right in the family of the word, because wit goes into what? Understanding. You see? So ultimately in these last days, man, as things get worse, man, all right, these American people are going to be looking for answers, and ultimately they're not going to have the answers. You see? It says, verse 10, and shall be sought of many, and yet not be found. Then shall unrighteousness and incontinency be multiplied upon earth, which incontinency goes into what? Self-restraint. So, hey, these people are going to be bugging out, you know, losing it on one another. You see, so once again, as we know it, man, good times are not coming to the land of Babylon the Great, man. You see, but only evil. All right, as the scriptures tell us. You see, it says, verse 11, one land also shall ask another and say, as righteousness that maketh the man righteous gone through unto thee. And what makes a man righteous, man? The word of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. All right, the laws, statutes, commandments written therein. Okay, that right there, okay, is what makes a man righteous in the eyes of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. You see? And it says here in verse 11, it says, one land also shall ask another and say, is righteousness that maketh the man righteous gone through thee? And it shall say no. So ultimately, we in that time where the Lord Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai is getting to ultimately revoke our access to his word, man. You see? And for you Jakes out there, man, you Israelites, man, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, man, who didn't want to take heed to the prophets of the Lord Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, all right, that thought the men of the Lord was just clacking their guns, just, you know, talking out their ass, man. Well, guess what, man? You're going to be looking for them in that day. And in that day, you won't be able to find them. All right, because Amos 8 says what? That they shall seek to and fro to find the word of the Lord and shall not find it. You see? So, hey, man, hey, you Jakes out there that refuse to take heed to the prophets, man, that's going to be your downfall. You see? Because the Lord, he's not going to hear you, right, when you're going through your troubles, man. You see? You're just gonna sit there and suffer it, you know? It say, verse 12, it says, at the same time shall men hope, but nothing obtain. They shall labor, but their ways shall not prosper. You see, so once again, as we stated earlier, right, this dude, Donald Trump, he's sowing vain hope, right, in the hearts of the American people. Which the American people, all right, they're not really believing, right, in the promises that this dude has promised, right, for this land. You see, as we read by the headlines, said that what, more people, or that Trump is finding it harder to persuade people that what, good times are coming for America. See, because the truth is, there are no good times coming for America. You see? So let's go ahead and read on in the article. It says, this flurry of sometimes extravagant claims comes amid a growing Republican fear fueled by recent election results. Fueled by recent election results that high prices could set the stage for a Democratic sweep in next year's midterms. So far, there is little evidence that Trump's urgent attempts to shift the economic storyline is working. You see, because ultimately we know once again that the economy, right, of this place is failing. You see, we brought it out. I brought it out in my last lesson a few days ago. But let's go ahead and get this in the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 12. All right, beginning in verse 3. It says, "In the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves." Now, who are the keepers of the house? That would be those who are in control of the stocks and bonds. They'll be the stock market and things of that nature. So that will be them. You see, and they're trembling. Why? Because ultimately they see the state of their economy, and that ultimately nothing is getting better, man. All right. They see that the economy is getting ready to crash, and the economic state of America is failing. So that's why they're trembling, because this place is going to shit, man. You see? And we see that. You know, people struggling to find jobs and maintain jobs. You know? People struggling to maintain their livelihoods and things of that nature. So, hey, this place, man, as we know, it is done for. You see? And there's no healing this place, man. And we've been quoting it. But let's go ahead and get that. After we get this. And reading on, it says, "And the grinders cease because they are few, and those that look out of the windows be darkened." You see, because ultimately, the average American person, all right, sees and understands that the future of this place is very grim. You see, once again, as we've been saying throughout this lesson, there is no restoration, all right, coming to the land of Babylon the Great, aka America. All right, the Lord is completely, all right, and continuously plaguing this place, man. You see, and we know and understand that once again, it's all leading up to that ultimate judgment that the Lord Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua purposes to bring, which we know is what? That nuclear destruction. You see? That's what's in store for America. It says, "And the doors shall be shut in the streets when the sound of grinding is low, and he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low." So ultimately, everything in this place is failing. Albeit the quality of music, right? The unemployment rate is increasing. You see? This place is done for, man. Okay? So let's continue reading on. It says, "Any Republican who refuses to admit we have an affordability problem is not listening to the American people." Former House Speaker Newt Gingrich, R. Georgia, said. It says, "It's real because the American people think it's real. I cannot overstate that. In a free country, it's the people who define what is real, not the politicians." It says Gingrich said Republicans need to quickly adopt an affordability agenda and argue that Trump should dedicate his next State of the Union to address the subject. It says psychologically, he hates to admit being in a hole. Gingrich said, it says his whole career is built around forcing the positive. You see, and that's really America in general. You see, everybody is, these various different presidents, throughout history, man, have been trying to, make America seem as this place, that would never fall. That's the big bad. Nothing can happen to America. Well, hey, man, the Lord is bringing this place to naught, man. You see? And as a matter of fact, let's go ahead and get it. Since we've been quoting it this entire lesson. This is Jeremiah chapter 51 and verse 8. It says, "Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed her. Take balm for her pain, if so she may be healed." Which we understand and know that balm goes into healing ointment. So the scriptures say, if so, she may be healed. You see, which ultimately, once again, as we've been saying throughout this lesson, there is no healing coming to America, man. All right, the Lord is completely through with this place, man. All right. It says we would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. You see, so once again, there's no form of healing or restoration, right, coming back to the land of Babylon the Great, aka America. You see, all the things that we're seeing now, All right, it's only going to get worse because what Yahweh Shai said that these are the beginning of sorrows. You see, it say it says, and let us go everyone into his own country, for her judgment reaches unto the heaven and is lifted up even to the sky. So, hey man, this place is done for, man. You see, and there's nothing that anybody upon the planet Earth can do to ultimately turn away the judgment that the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai has purposed to bring upon this place. You see? It says Trump's plight is striking a turnabout. In last year's campaign, Trump scored political points by highlighting Americans' inflation concerns, and President Joe Biden faced the almost impossible task of convincing voters they were not as bad off as they thought. It says strategists of both parties note that Trump, who has often seemed to defy the laws of politics, is struggling with the affordability issue as he has with a few others. It says the president shrugged off criticism after he accepted a luxury plane from a foreign country, pardoned unsavory figures, and demolished a third of the White House, for example, episodes that might be devastating to another politician, which, you know, that's the end of the article on the End Time Headlines. So, you know, which even in the Washington Post looks like you got to subscribe. So we'll, you know, we'll end off reading there. Let's see. Let's go ahead and get something else. You know, as a matter of fact, we can cut off right there. So, I pray to Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai that this was edifying to the elect body of the nation of Israel. I believe the point has been made through the Spirit. And I pray once again that this was edifying and informative to the elect body of the nation of Israel. And without further ado, I would like to close out by giving all the praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rechakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and preach the truth and sincerity. Shalom to the hopeful elect. Lord, I'll see you in the next lesson. Till then, I say shalom.